welcome in Theo Lawson from the Spokesman Review out in Spokane, Washington. Bringing him aboard. Celtics drafted Anton Watson, Gonzaga wing at 54 overall in the draft this year. Going to be honest, I did not spend a ton of time watching Gonzaga film this year. Just going to be flat out honest about that. I caught a little bit more Creighton just because I dig the uniforms and they were in the top 10 a little bit more. You know, I got a little bit more of them than the Gonzaga. Games on the West Coast sometimes can be really tough. But I figured since we talked with Matt Pearl last week about Baylor Shireman, that I would bring on this week Theo to talk a little bit about Watson. And Theo's been on the beat since 2021. He's seen a lot of good with the Zags over the years he's been there. Theo, I know it's not been a ton of time, but how has the program sort of changed since you've been there, or has it just been kind of dominance throughout the entire run here?
Yeah, it's kind of been a constant the last 3 years. I mean, this is a program every year that's achieving to get back to the Final Four for the first time since 2021, and is making Sweet 16s every year. Basically, I think the last 9 years they've made at least a Sweet 16. So they win at least 2 games in the tournament. It seems like every year, and entering next season, they're projected to be another top 5 team with the chance to get back to the Final Four. Haven't obviously captured the elusive national title under Mark Few, but they're always in the mix, and that's kind of where fans have kind of come to expect them to be the last 10 years or so. Yeah,
it's awesome. As someone who is a Syracuse guy, it feels like you guys kind of took our spot of like a team that's just always around, at least Sweet 16 every year. Now we're just kind of like faded back into obscurity as Jim Boeheim totally tanked the program. But we're hopefully getting back on track here with Adrian Autry going to coach everybody up. But it's been so much fun to watch the Zags. I don't think there's like not a Gonzaga fan like ever. I think everybody's just kind of like, yeah, no, I like them. I think they have most of the public support on their side, unless they play like a real blue blood, like a Kentucky or a UConn or maybe even a UCLA. Like just unless they're playing somebody really major, I feel like everybody loves Gonzaga. Who can't?
Yeah, exactly. Especially in Spokane, they're really like a professional team on this side of the state. We don't have any pro teams. It's big Mariners, Seahawks, Seattle Kraken now, formerly Supersonics. But on this side of the state, we're about 4 hours east of Seattle. Everyone here is crazy about the Zags. They sell out every home game. It's a very small gym at the McCarthy Athletic Center, so it's really rowdy, and they've had some pretty impressive home win streaks. So people in this area of the country are pretty crazy about Gonzaga, but they really have become a national brand that everyone seems to kind of be reacquainted with every March with their tournament runs, and kind of a fan favorite once they get to the tournament.
Yeah, and again, there's just been a lot of fun. I mean, I go back to when I was in college, and even like before then, like Adam Morrison, I think is my first real Gonzaga experience. But let's get into Watson. Again, Celtics draft him at 54 overall. Celtics obviously see something in him. And I know second round prospects can be kind of dart throws. It's just kind of the way it is. Sometimes you get a Draymond Green, a Nikola Jokic. Sometimes, as Celtics fans will understand here, sometimes you end up with Jordan Mickey. Sometimes you got to take that chance. And this isn't a situation, Theo, that I don't understand the throw. I totally get it. But I kind of I'd rather hear it from you. Why do you think the Celtics made a smart dart throw with this pick?
Yeah, I think first of all, I don't want to sound too cliche, and I think Brad Stevens mentioned this a couple of days ago in his press conference. But Anton Watson is a winning player. He's won everywhere he's been. He went to high school here in Spokane, only a couple of miles away from Gonzaga's campus. He went to Gonzaga Prep, won 2 state championships there at the 4A level, which is a pretty high level. You're playing against teams from Seattle and whatnot, bigger school. So won 2 state titles there, and then kind of just more of the same at Gonzaga. Played for 5 years, went to the tournament for the 5 years. Didn't go the first year because of COVID, but then went to the national championship game, lost to Baylor that next year, and then 2 Sweet 16s, 1 Elite 8. So he has a pretty good winning track record. I think he was the winningest player in the draft last week. So he's won a lot of games at Gonzaga. Does a lot of winning things. Has always kind of been willing to do what it takes to win. Hasn't always been flashy. Hasn't really been a scorer. Has kind of just done the dirty work and let guys like Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren, Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert do kind of the scoring and the glamorous stuff. But he's a hard-nosed player, a great defender. I think he's going to be able to defend 4 to 5 positions in the NBA. I think he's someone who can probably defend anyone, but like a Jokic or a Joel Embiid, some of the bigger centers in the NBA. But he's going to do winning stuff, and he's going to be coachable and kind of do what it takes to win.
And that's the thing I want to focus on, the defensive prowess. That Boston has been kind of all over this. Since Brad Stevens really got there, they've really valued defense and guys that can at least quote unquote guard their yard, guys that can hold up against at least their position. They love guys that are multi-positional defensively. I mean, you go back to Marcus Smart, and Marcus Smart used to just do stuff that would make me laugh. He would guard. Early Kristaps Porzingis would get the ball in the post, and Smart would just bully him off his spot into his chest, and Porzingis would have no idea what to do. He'd make me laugh. Like Drew Holiday does stuff all the time. This past season with the Celtics, I mean, that steal against Andrew Nembhard in the playoffs to kind of seal it to get to them to the NBA Finals. You laugh. Like, that's an outrageous play for someone to make at that time. What part of Anton's defensive versatility gives you a similar feeling?
Yeah, I think it's his hands. I think for the last 3-4 years, Mark Few has always talked about Anton has some of the best hands in the country. He's a great athlete. First of all, I mean, he's going to be able to move laterally. Not great vertically, but good enough vertically that he's going to be able to block shots against smaller defenders, I think. And but I really come back to the hands. And he was second all time at Gonzaga in steals. Number one all time is a guy named John Stockton. So John Stockton was also Anton's mentor growing up, coached him in AAU, has a lot of still connections within the Gonzaga program and kind of locally with local players. So learned from one of the best players in NBA history, and didn't quite get a chance to break John's career stills record in 5 years, but has been one of the best defenders to come out of Gonzaga, and really was kind of a pest with opposing guards, bigs. He really guarded the best player on every team Gonzaga played last year. And so whoever that player was, they would stick Anton on him, and he usually had a pretty good degree of success guarding anyone, and a lot of steals. Didn't gamble a ton. Is a pretty high IQ defender too. I don't think he was going to take a lot of risks, but he still was able to come with a lot of steals and keep guys in front of him. Pretty rangy, decent size at 6'8", 230 ish. So I think that's the part of his game that's going to translate best to the NBA, and everything else I think is going to be a luxury.
So it sounds like he's an awesome, on-ball defender. I'm more curious now, like the off-ball team defensive stuff. Is that something you think he would struggle with? You think it's something that he's also good at, but he's just so good on the ball that this stuff kind of gets pushed to the side?
I think he's going to be good either way. Like I said earlier, he's going to be really coachable. He's a very high IQ player. He's played, I don't know how many college games, 160, 170 college games. So has a lot of experience playing against every type of offensive set you could see probably as a college player. Has played against UConn, Purdue, some of the best college teams in the country. Has guarded some of the best All-American type players, NBA lottery type players. So I think he's going to be pretty solid in whatever system he's put into, and great off the ball, great on the ball. I think he's pretty well rounded in that regard.
Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. So it's really easy. Just download the Game Time app. Okay, now to me right now, the Red Sox are the ticket you want. So go to a Red Sox game. There's nothing better than going to Fenway Park or going to a baseball game, period. So what you do is you download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off of your first purchase. Again, redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
I kind of love the history already here. Like, he's been, not under John Stockton's wing, but has known him for a while, played for him. Obviously, I like that. I also love that his dad played college basketball. I did a little research. Come to find out, his dad's still the all-time leading rebounder at Idaho. Is that still true?
It is, yeah, and that's actually my alma mater, so I take a lot of pride in.
Look at this!
His dad, the University of Idaho is about an hour and a half away from us here in Spokane, so it's pretty local. We're right on the Idaho border.
Sure.
His dad was a standout player at Idaho. I think was on the last Idaho team to make the NCAA tournament, and I've teased him about not sending Anton to Idaho to kind of follow his footsteps, but he made a pretty good decision coming to Gonzaga here in Spokane and staying at home. But Dad was a great basketball player at Idaho. His brother, actually, I covered his brother at Idaho as a football player. He was a really talented receiver / tight end for the team that won a bowl game back in, I think, 2016. His sister was a D1 volleyball player for Fresno State, and I believe she went to Eastern Washington up here as well too. So really athletic family. He's kind of the next in line, and obviously the most successful to get drafted by the Celtics.
Yeah, I love the history of this stuff. I love the bloodlines. I'm a big, like, as a Patriots fan, as an aside, like, I love the fact that Drake May has brothers that are ultra competitive and have played at the highest level in college, and now Drake's, ascending into, hopeful NFL stardom here. So I'm a big sucker for that kind of stuff, and the fact that his dad's the all-time leading rebounder in Idaho history, like, I think is wonderful, and it's something that kind of translates to, I think, to Anton's game too. I read a quote from his dad talking about how he wanted Anton to average 10 rebounds a game. Like, there shouldn't be an excuse. You should always be able to get those. For a smaller guy, because he's only 6'8", I know the wingspan's is bigger, but he's not like a super tall guy. He's wide, 230 pounds. Not like he's a small guy. But, when you're banging bodies with some of the bigger guys in college basketball, how does a smaller guy like that make such a big impact on the glass?
Yeah, I think it was just willpower and just kind of energy. For the first couple of years he was on campus, he was kind of a spark plug guy off the bench. I think last year it was Seth Greenberg from ESPN who called him the best glue guy in the country. And then this year he obviously took kind of a leap with his offense, scoring more. But he's always been a pretty willing rebounder. Hasn't really ever come close to 10 rebounds a game, but I think this year around 7 rebounds per game was his career high. But again, he's kind of shared the floor with some really talented players, and Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren 2 years ago. So it was always kind of hard to play the minutes needed to average 10 rebounds a game. But he is a willing rebounder. He's athletic, like I said. I think he's strong enough to box guys out. I don't think that was ever like his primary role at Gonzaga. There was always someone else, even Graham Ike this last year, who was kind of more pressed to rebound than Anton was. But I think he's going to be able to do that at the NBA level, and whether it's the G League or the NBA, average 5, 6, 7 rebounds a game.
Yeah, I love the tenacity. I love the dad is just instilled from him at a very young age. You got to rebound. You got to get on the glass. I love that. Offensively, we don't have to really sugarcoat this. He's not going to have to do a whole lot coming to this team as a second round pick on the offensive side of the ball. They have a bunch of guys that can score. That's not going to be the concern. But it's something that has to be somewhat talked about as we learn who this guy is. And Brad talked about it post-draft in his press conference that he just wants Anton to keep it flying. He did shoot a good percentage from the 3-point line in college, but the volume just isn't quite there. So as you help us understand who Anton is this a thing where he doesn't take a lot of threes because he doesn't get the ball that much in the flow of the offense? Does he not feel as confident there unless he's wide open? Help us understand the lack of volume from that area, even though he's shooting such a good percentage.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both of those things. And kind of like I mentioned, he never really had to be an offensive contributor for this team because of all the players I mentioned, the Nemhards, the Suggs, the Holmgrens, Drew Timme left as the school's all-time leading scorer. So he never really had to do that until this last season when obviously Drew Timme graduates, Julian Strother got drafted by the Nuggets, and he has to kind of step into more of an offensive role. And you saw him shoot the ball a lot more willingly. I think he was shooting it more, but I really think the last 2 years, especially, he really decided that, hey, if I want to play at the next level as a 6'8", 230-pound forward, I probably have to shoot it better than, I think the first 2 seasons he was averaging about 15% from the 3-point line, and then steadily climbed to 22, 33. And I think he was a hair above 40 on kind of limited attempts, but more attempts certainly this year. And the coaches at Gonzaga always believed in him as a shooter. And I remember an assistant coach last year, Roger Powell, would always say, hey, if you shoot it, it's going in. And I think he started to build more confidence in the shot. I think that kind of became the focal point of the last 2 off seasons, coming back to Gonzaga, being more of a shooter. And then obviously this year, he saw his numbers go up to 14.5 points a game. And there were 2 games in particular where the offense wasn't really coming from anywhere else. And so he had 2 32-point games against UCLA and the Maui Invitational, and then Santa Clara, and just kind of took over those games and decided, hey, no one else is going to do this. I'll be more aggressive. I'll shoot. I'll take it to the rack, get my own rebound, and a lot of putbacks and stuff. He was kind of scoring from everywhere, and I think went 14 of 15 from the field in one of those games, and really kind of showcased what he could do. This wasn't going to happen every night, but you can see in small sample sizes that he's capable of doing that every now and then. And obviously, the 3-point numbers shooting 1.5 threes a game this year with his career high, and I think he's going to be able to kind of keep building that shot, and hopefully the NBA range doesn't mess with that. But if he can kind of be in that 35 to 40% range, I think it's something that at least other teams have to respect.
Yeah, and again, it's he's going to get on the floor at any points because of his defensive stuff before the offensive stuff, but it's not like he can't do it. And we have Summer League coming up here, Theo, so I'll get you out here on this. It's going to be a loaded particular roster at that position. They have Jordan Walsh from Arkansas last year. Be his second year on the team this year, had a decent year in the G League. Curious to see what he does. Baylor Shireman, obviously the first round pick, 30 overall. Great, and he's going to be at the same sort of position. There's wings already kind of in place here, but what should we look forward to as we are chopping at the bit here for Summer League coming up in a few weeks?
Yeah, I think he's pretty excited for the opportunity. I had a chance to talk to him on draft night, and I think he was planning on spending the weekend in Spokane and then getting out to Boston for mini camp. And so I think he just wants to come in there and do what he's been doing. I don't think I've covered Summer League the last couple of years, and you see a lot of guys trying to go out there and do a little bit too much, get their own score, do stuff like that. But I think knowing Anton and what he's done at Gonzaga, he's going to do what he's asked to do, and he's going to defend at a very high level, lock up other players, and try to kind of make a name for himself that way, and not overdo it. I think that's the key for a rookie coming into their first Summer League, and whether he ends up with the G League opportunity or 2A or with the Celtics, I think he has to kind of just do what he's been doing and do what the Celtics drafted him to do, and defend and make the right plays, be a high EQ player. He's always been a great teammate. Kind of more of an introvert, kind of quiet, but always done things the right way on and off the court. So I think that's going to be the key for a second round draft pick. Not do too much and just kind of not just blend in, but not try to overdo it and score too much or kind of get out of his comfort zone.
It's Theo Lawson from the Spokesman Review out in Spokane, Washington. Theo, appreciate you coming aboard here. Make sure everybody subscribe to CLNS YouTube page, of course, huge thing there. Subscribe to Celtics Beat on iTunes and on Spotify. Adam will be back next week with us. No question about that. Obviously, you get a little bit of vacation here in the summertime. I got one coming up soon as well, so we're all kind of balancing it out here. But I hope Adam had a great time on vacation this week. Theo, thanks for joining us, man. I learned a lot about our boy Anton, and I'm thrilled to get a couple of days really. When this thing drops, it'll be Saturday, and this is currently Tuesday, so not too much longer. We get to see him in action in a green uniform. I'm thrilled about it. So thanks for taking some time, buddy. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for having me.